Atlanta could tie or even break its own record for the most players drafted in the first round. So we are going to give you a mock draft Monday. 283 days now until the NFL draft. Yes, that's a long time away, but we're going to give it to you. Last year, a record-breaking 15 players were taken out of the SEC in the first round. This year, could tie or even surpass that. Also, Clemson, a big shower in this year's mock draft. I guess this round of the mock draft. Let's welcome in Ryan Wilson, Mike Renner with Ryan Wilson's Mock Draft 1.0. You can find it there on CBSSports.com. We're going to start with a guy who would be number one, I assume, however, is not in your mock draft, Ryan. That is Arch Manning in Texas. We are assuming that he is going to stay. Are you still sticking with that assumption?
Hey, Amanda. Hey, Mike. I know you're a Sooner fan. You went to Oklahoma, and you would love nothing more than to see Arch Manning get out of Texas as soon as possible. But history with his uncles would tell you that he'll probably come back to school. It's not like he needs the money. Outside of winning the Heisman or perhaps the national title with the Longhorns, I could see him coming back. I mean, there's really no rush. Now, if he were coming out, he's going to be the first overall pick for all the obvious reasons and some of the not so obvious ones because you've only seen him play 2 games. But I thought just to mix things up, I would leave him out of this mock draft because we'll be talking nonstop about him both on the college and NFL level for the next, let's see here, 283 days. So I'm going to give Arch Manning and the Mannings a break in this mock draft, but I'm sure that will change shortly. There's a lot to love about him. He's more athletic than his uncles in terms of his ability to run outside the pocket. He has a bigger arm than his uncles, I believe. But for now, Mike, I just decided to let Arch skip out on these top 32 picks.
I think that's completely fair, and I would be very surprised if he did declare. I hit the nail on the head. It has to be like a Heisman, Natty, double up for him to even consider it, especially with NIL today. But I do want to emphasize the people who are like, oh, we're giving him too much hype too soon. You flip on the tape, the guy is special. Like, from what I saw, he is the best quarterback in this draft class already. I don't care that it's such limited tape. He will be a number one pick when he does decide to.
And Ryan, your latest podcast there, you talked with Rain Carthon about all of the quarterbacks in the SEC. So we find the next one there, going to the Saints and one. This is a team that has not had a consistent quarterback since Drew Brees. You have them taking LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Could he potentially be that guy for the Saints, Ryan?
Yeah, so Arch Manning obviously has connection with the Saints with his grandfather, Garrett Nussmeier's dad is the current OC in New Orleans, so there's some bloodlines there as well. And, Mike and I and our buddy Rick Spielman talked about Garrett last summer in summer scouting with the quarterbacks. Had a fantastic start to his season. He's not the biggest player. He's not as tall as Arch. He doesn't have as big as arm. Not as good as athlete. But he is a coach's son through and through when you watch him play, and you get sort of the Phillip Rivers vibes in terms of how he sees the game. In terms of if you're looking for a comp, he can be Joe Burrow. He can also be Mac Jones, not the Alabama version, but the Jacksonville Jaguars version. The end of last year for LSU was a little rough at times. Felt like he was trying to do too much. So you want to see him not put too much on his plate, take the throws that are there, because he throws with better anticipation than anyone in this draft class. And I think if he plays the 2025 season like he did the first half of 2024, he's going to be a first-round pick. Then the only question becomes how high could he end up going eventually?
Big kudos, Ryan, for the TV there behind you. Let's go to the Browns. I like that it says 283 days. The Browns at 2. Let's remind you the Browns have 2 first-round picks because of the trade they made with the Jags and this past draft, so the Jags could go ahead and get Travis Hunter. Ryan has them taking offensive lineman Caden Proctor out of Alabama, sticking with the SEC. Mike, what makes this guy so good? He's going number 2 overall.
Well, he's 6'7", 360 pounds, and until you actually read those numbers, you would not notice it by the way a guy moves on tape. I mean, offensive tackle is a very physical, traits-based position. You can identify the guys that succeed very early on in their careers, and Nick Saban did just that. He was a true freshman starter at left tackle for the Crimson Tide. That's a rarity. Guys like Evan Neal are in that mold, Jonah Williams. Usually when that's the case, you become a top 10 to top 12 pick in the NFL. So it's very easy to project him out there now. He still has issues of his game to improve and still has technical problems that I want to see fixed, but just the physicality that he brings to the table, it's top 10 ability.
Stick around for the Browns because they could potentially be taking a quarterback later on. Let's go to the Jets, though, at 3 right now. Ryan, you have them taking Clemson defensive end TJ Parker. I will tell you, Clemson showed out in the first round of this. You have them taking like 5 or 6 guys. Let's start with TJ Parker, though, led the team in sacks. What else do we need to know?
So he's the number one player on my big board as we sit here through the course of the summer, and he is as juiced up an edge rusher as you'll find. He looks incredibly long on tape. His motor reminded me of Mike Green's motor coming out last year. He was a second-round pick. Should have been a first-round pick, not for off-field stuff. And I think the Jets, their defense is pretty good. Sometimes, ebbs and flows, of course. The front four is as solid as they come when they're healthy, but you can never have enough edge rushers. We saw the Giants do exactly that with Abdul Carter, and I think T.J. Parker has a chance to be truly special on the Clemson team that you talked about, Amanda, having a ton of guys on both sides of the ball with an opportunity to get drafted. His teammate, Peter Woods, that plays inside, is going to be a first-round pick as well. But right now, number one on my big board. We'll see how that sorts itself out for the next 283 days.
You can never have enough edge rushers, and you can never have enough good offensive linemen, and that is what you were giving the Giants at 4 there. Out of Utah, Spencer, is it Fano or Fano? But either way, Mike, I love the word Ryan used to describe him, technician.
Yeah, Fano, I haven't dropped my rankings yet, but just a little sneak peek, he is going to be my OT1. He is going to be a top 5 player in this class for me. He has, for my money, the best sophomore tape I've seen at the offensive tackle position since Penei Sewell. His ability to get out of his stance, how technically sound he is at that young an age, he's just going to be special. You just can see it already on his tape. He doesn't even need to improve to be a guy picked in this sort of range. And just his ability in a wide zone or inside zone scheme, I think is perfect fit. And the right tackle position for the Giants, obviously, after drafting Evan Neal, has still been a question mark. I think he'd fit in perfectly.
Let's go to the Titans at number 5, the team that had the number 1 overall pick last year. They took him word with that. Look, there's so many questions with this Titans team, which is why we are focusing on the players. Another Clemson guy, Ryan, defensive lineman Peter Woods, 6'3", 315. What else?
Yeah, so we talked a couple years about Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee, both first-round picks. I think this group that we just talked about with Peter Woods here and T.J. Parker a moment ago, they can end up being better, and perhaps that's a stretch. We'll find out. But also a technician, plays with great hands, uses his hands well, incredibly athletic for his size. You can see him there. He's not going to be a guy coming off the edge of 255. He's a little bit bigger than that, but extremely powerful. And where's Brian Brezee's number 11 there? Tennessee Titans have Jeffrey Simmons. We'll see what his long-term prospects are in Tennessee. He's obviously a fantastic player, but the idea of lining him up next to Jeffrey Simmons there, that's pretty appealing if you're the Tennessee Titans trying to make that defense a little better than it has been in recent years.
A lot of questions for the Titans, maybe even more questions, but it'll be very interesting to watch this Raiders team. You get a new look and their head coach there. You get a new quarterback, new ownership, new-ish ownership with Tom Brady, an area where they're going to find more stability, according to Ryan, as the secondary. And this is a name, Ryan and Mike, that you're going to hear so much about. Safety, Caleb Downs, one of the most popular names we have heard so far. Mike, how high could he potentially go in this draft? Do you think he would find him here?
Yeah, I think he could be the highest drafted safety since like Jamal Adams, who I believe went number 6 overall almost a decade ago here. So he truly is special talent. Easily the best safety prospect since Kyle Hamilton. He was a freshman starter at Alabama, sophomore starter for Ohio State. And for the Raiders, they have a massive need at anywhere in the secondary, so he fits for them. But when I watch Downs' tape, it reminds me of when you played like Madden 2005 and you could just change directions and not lose speed. That's how he looks covering on the back end. He just changes directions, he turns, and all of a sudden he is still at top speed, chasing down ball carriers. This is the kind of safety that every team in the NFL wants. Easily worth a top 10 pick.
Let's go to the Panthers at 7 here. Ryan, you did very good with your descriptions. I liked it. We had technician earlier. You described this next gentleman as Earth Mover. Who is that?
Yeah, Francis Mauigoa, and it's funny because producer James was asking me 15 different ways to pronounce his name. I had to look it up 3 or 4 times because I mispronounced it when we talked about him earlier in the summer, and people just came after me, so I apologize, Francis. Fantastic player, earth mover, no doubt about it. And again, this offensive line class is going to be interesting because last year's offensive line class got better as we got through the draft process, and I agree with Mike. Fanu is special. I like Proctor a little better, but I think there's an opportunity to have 2 or 3 or 4 guys going to the top 15 of the offensive line position as we sit here, and we'll see how this sorts itself out. He's a right tackle only, and that just depends on your offensive line and your quarterback situation, but I think he is worthy of a high-round pick. He reminded me a little bit of Troy Fautanu, who was a Steelers first-round pick a few years ago, who can play left or right tackle, and maybe Mauigoa has that versatility as well. We'll find out. But I think if he goes somewhere in this range, as we sit here in mid-July, it would not surprise me.
I will tell you, our producer doesn't trust me either because he told me to have you pronounce the name. So say it one more time for us, Ryan, so everybody knows and nobody comes at you.
Mauigoa, I'm 85% sure. So Francis, let me know if I got that wrong, but I think it's Mauigoa, and maybe Mike knows better than I do.
There's
as well.
always that 15%. Let's go to the Colts today. Mike, you did get this one, and it's very interesting. We have them taking Penn State quarterback Drew Aller, the second quarterback off the board. We've talked about this a lot. He could have gone back to Penn State. He decided to instead of going into the draft. What more do you think you want to see from him, Mike, this upcoming season?
Truthfully, a lot more. I mean, he is not at a top 10 pick sort of level on tape from a year ago. Nussmeier may have been, right? Drew Aller, not. He has things to improve. The biggest one is just accuracy. You see down-to-down consistency of his spiral, and it is not what you want to see from a guy you're drafting at this point in the draft. But now the biggest thing is, from his freshman year to his sophomore year, you saw improvement. So his sophomore year to his junior year, you saw massive improvement. So what's his junior year to senior year going to look like? Because obviously everyone there in that Penn State program raves about this guy. So that's, to me, is the biggest thing is one more year of improvement. The guy has the tools to go, he could even go higher than Arch Manning. That's how freaky this guy is as an athlete, with his size, with his ability to push the ball down the football field. But there's still a lot to work on in this game. All
right, we're going to see over the next 283 days. We are far from done, though, right here. Guys, hang on just a second. Recapping picks 1 through 8 there. 2 quarterbacks off the board. Saints, maybe they get their quarterback of the future in Garrett Nussmeier. The Colts going with Drew Aller, who both Mike and Ryan would like to see big improvement from this upcoming season. And the Raiders, star safety, Caleb Downs. Coming up, the Steelers appear they will yet again be looking for another quarterback next season. Aaron Rodgers, quote, pretty sure it'll be his last year. So with 2 off the board, where can they turn? We have the answer. Welcome back into Spotlight here on your Monday, Mock Draft Monday, 283 days, but we got SEC days going on. Big Ten is next week. Ryan Wilson, Mike Renner. We're going to pick it up with the Browns at 9. This is their second pick in the first round. With the number 2 overall pick, you had them taking Alabama offensive lineman Kaden Proctor. You're going with a D-line out of Miami, Reuben Bain, and you're trying to come up with a good comp for him, if you will.
Yeah, Ed Oliver meets Jared versus what I wrote in the mock draft right up at CBSSports.com. And look, he's 6'3", 275, so he's not exactly sawed off, but he's also not your prototypical edge rusher. He can get after it. Bowling ball who can line up anywhere from 3 technique to all the way out to the 9 technique. And if you can envision Ed Oliver and Jared versus one person, it looks a lot like Reuben Bain Jr. Want to see a little bit more consistency, but I love the idea of him lining up next to Myles Garrett and this year's first-round pick, Mason Graham.
I am very disappointed in myself. I just want you to know I was listening to the wide receivers episode, and I didn't get through all of it here. So I'm a little behind on those guys. Let's go to the Dolphins at 10. You do have them taking a wide receiver out of Clemson, Antonio Williams. I do know he had, about 8 drops last season, but a lot of potential. Mike, how good could this guy be if he can hang on to the ball?
Yeah, I mean, he could be top 10 pick worthy, especially if it's a team like the Miami Dolphins who covet his sort of dynamism because he is fast in a straight line. He's fast going left. He's fast changing directions. The guy is just tuned up. I mean, he is fast going whichever way he wants to. He's a primarily slot receiver, but he can really get vertical out of the slot. And for the Miami Dolphins, they're obviously going to lose Tyreek Hill after this season. This feels like the perfect sort of replacement for them.
We go to the Rams at 11. They have 2 picks in the first round. You're going with the smarty pants pick, Ryan. Duke cornerback Chandler Rivers. You said he plays like an old school middle linebacker. Why is that? Look, they are smart. Like, he's a Duke. What am I supposed to say? I went to Oklahoma. It wasn't that hard.
No, I love it. I love the appreciation for the academic requirements to get into Duke University.
Yeah.
Chandler Rivers is one of those guys that he popped into your radar and then you watch him and you go, oh my gosh, how have I not heard about this guy? Reminded me a little bit of Maxwell Harrison in the way that he plays, like with his hair on fire, throwing his body around. But he can play in the slot. He can play outside. He's incredibly physical. 5'10", 180, plays much bigger and stronger than that. And that size may eventually impact where he's drafted. But right now he's my cornerback 1 because of his mentality and physicality with how he approaches playing that position.
All right, if we're talking about size, we got to go to this next one. Going to the Patriots at 12, another SEC guy, offensive lineman Xavier Chaplin, 6'7", 338. What else do we need to know about him, Mike?
Well, we talked about, arm length of the Patriots all offseason. This guy, we're not going to have to talk about it. He's got some of the longest arms in this class. He's 6'7", 338 pounds, crazy long, and can explode off the football. He reminds you a lot of Tyler Guyton, first-round pick for the Cowboys last year. He's 3 seasons at Virginia Tech, 2 as a starter at left tackle, obviously transferred to Auburn this offseason. I think for the New England Patriots, they're going to have to address the offensive line yet again next year. They made a lot of improvements, but it's still probably not quite to the avenue or not quite to the level that you want to see with Drake May at quarterback.
We are going to the Seahawks at 13. Ryan, I like this guy. I'm a little mad at him. LT Overton, his dad played at Oklahoma. He should have gone there, started off at Texas A&M, then decided to go to Alabama, just, went all around Oklahoma. Why is he so good for the Seahawks team?
I think John Mateer is going to solve a lot of your problems, man. That's going to be a wild ride at the quarterback position. So we'll talk about that as we get through it. In terms of LT Overton, these guys are enormous now coming off the edge. 6'5", 280. He is so bendy for his size that it almost takes your breath away to see someone that size move the way he does. No surprise, he plays with great hands, very violent at the point of attack. He feels like an Alabama edge rusher. And he also, with that size, feels like he would fit what Seattle historically looks for. Even if Mike McDonald is only in year 2 there, I feel like he would find a way to use LT Overton in much the same way we've seen him have success in Tuscaloosa.
Let's go to the Steelers at 14. Not because of the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. This is my most exciting player in the draft so far. Ryan, I'm falling in love with this guy here. Fernando Mendoza went to Cal, was playing behind a very, very bad offensive line. He was sacked a zillion times, transferring to Indiana. And this kid's kind of a dark horse right now, Mike Renner.
Oh, 100%. And I'm so excited to see what he can do at Indiana because the situation around him is really going to be night and day. You said it was a bad offensive line. It was the worst I saw of any quarterback when I went through summer scouting. It was basically if he hit his back foot and the ball wasn't out, he was getting hit on that play. His offensive line was not going to give him a second, a third read. So it's really difficult to evaluate in that sort of, in that situation. But when he did have a little bit of time, when he was able to get to a second, third read, his arm talent really showed. And for a Pittsburgh Steelers team that obviously plays in an outdoor division, Mendoza is the perfect type of quarterback to fit into that offense.
And if you want to hear more, we're going to recap the picks here, but I'm going to give a little shout out to the pod right there, going through all of some of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Ryan Wilson, Rand Carthon talk about it. Fernando Mendoza, keep an eye on him going to the Steelers at 14. Coming up, no running backs off the board yet. A big name, Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame, a guy who can trip up defenders all over the place. Where could his new home be? We have it for you next. On Spotlight, a little mock draft Monday for you. 283 days away from the NFL draft, but why not? Hey, we're in July. We got to talk about something. We're picking it up with the Cowboys at 15, and here we find the first running back off the board. Last year, Mike, I'm going to give this one to you as our Notre Dame guy. It was all about Ashton Genty. Really didn't focus on anyone else, but now we have Jeremiah Love, and I'm even seeing articles about potential Heisman finalists for this kid.
Yeah, I think it's very well within the realm of possibility because when you watch his tape, he's the most dynamic athlete in college football. His speed is out of this world. He had a 98-yarder in the playoff against Indiana. And on a bum knee for most of that playoff was still a major factor in a lot of games, the Penn State game as well. So that's him as a 19-year-old sophomore. I'm very excited to see what this guy does when he has some more time in the weight room because he is still a little bit on the skinnier side. He fills out his frame and really adds some more power to his game. He could go even higher than this. I mean, he could go in the Ashton Genty range of running backs. That's how good he is already. All
right, keep an eye on Jeremiah Love there out of Notre Dame. Let's go to the Cardinals at 16. Our second wide receiver off the board, Washington's